Hazer, I guess we'll start with a 19 goal performance for your team. What a way to end that six-game skid. What did you guys see down there against Panther City?
Things were dropping really at the end of the day there. Like I say, we came out with a purpose, played with a lot of energy on both ends of the floor. And they were finally rewarded there a bit with the work they were doing.
How big do you think this win was for you guys to snap that skid? I know there were pockets of those six games where you guys felt like you were still playing the right way, and there were just moments where you were getting away from it. So I know one of the big things you and the players talked about was playing 60 minutes. Was that mission accomplished on Sunday?
Yeah, 100%. And again, I think like I say, the few of the last minute goals there like wasn't indicative of the way we were playing. It's just they started flogging and shots sort of dropped that they weren't so much in the first part of the game. But yeah, it was a complete 60. And again, we finally had that purpose and we executed right from the get-go. And we did again when they were going on their run in the fourth quarter. We were able to match that offensively as well and keep that energy up for the full 60. So it was a great to see and a great result for our group here.
Want to talk about a few individuals. I guess we'll start with T-Mac. McConvey puts up six goals. That's a high for the current Nighthawks franchise. What have you seen in his development? Because it seems like each game he's finding ways to get better, and then he just completely goes off on Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. It just the confidence that he has in himself and his abilities is constantly growing. He's getting more comfortable with the group around us, and again, the way our group works is very unselfish. And if you're open, they're gonna find you and make the most of your opportunities. And T Mac made the most of his opportunities. You know, right from the very first shift off that face off, like he was going and he set the tone for us, and he was really good.
You use the word unselfish. I guess that's a good way to describe Connor Fields' play on Sunday. 11 assists, 19 goals as a team. But how hard is it as an individual player to get 14 points?
It's really difficult. You know what, but the Fields, he's just sort of his game is growing, and he's not just necessarily a guy that's gonna. Again, Fields is going to take his shots when they're there, and we know that, and teams know that. But the way he's developing his game and using everybody else a little more often is just going to make things a heck of a lot easier for him. And again, it's hard to do. It really is. But again, the ball's in his stick and a heck of a lot for us, which is what we want. But his ability to find the open guy was a different level on Sunday there for us.
I know him and T Mac were probably the key guys that stood out, maybe Ryan Smith as well. But I want to ask you about Kyle Waters. He had two goals, 4 points. Maybe not just so much as to Sunday's game, but overall his season. This guy comes over from Calgary. He's a former first round pick in this league, a guy who maybe didn't get as much opportunity in Calgary as you've given him in Rochester. What do you think of this guy?
No, he's playing kind of what we expected. Again, he had a dynamite junior career. He was next level when he was in junior. Getting to Calgary, he kind of, like I say, trying to find your way in this league is tough for anybody. And like I say, the elite is the elite, and they can step in and play and make plays. But you know, a guy that, like I say, may not be so elite, I guess, is it takes time. And we've given him a role that we feel it suits him well. He's a big body, so he doesn't necessarily need the ball in his stick. You know, that's Fieldsy, that's Ryan Smith down, and that's Lanch on that side. So he's a big body that's going to create some space, and when he has the opportunities, he's doing a dynamite job and he's bearing, and it's exactly what we hoped for. And he's living up to what we thought. And again, still runway and still some more games to go here. As our group I think knows. But he's playing really well. And again, I think as well for him, for us having that ability to practice Tuesdays where he really never had that opportunity out in Calgary. They would fly in night before a game, and then I think it's helped his fitness as well, and that's helped his game as well for him and for us.
I know Dan Carey would be the one that executes the trades, but this is a guy that you coached, I believe, during the bubble season. during the pandemic. You had a few games with Kyle Waters. So even though you're not the one that's necessarily making the call, is this a player that you may have thought of in past years and said, hey, I'd like to have him on my team one day?
Yeah, you know what, and that's like I say the trade with Hoagie to Calgary was, it was a long time coming, and it dragged an awful lot through the summer, and into like I say into the day of the draft, and it wasn't necessarily when we kind of stopped and looked at it. Yeah, he was definitely the player that we thought we needed because again, it's to tell you the truth, we actually wanted a ball carrying righty. Is what we were targeting to help Smitty there on that side. And he's not necessarily that, but he has the ability to be that. And so when the trade was made, we said, you know what, let's make the most of it and utilize his other skills that he has and create space. And again, he's done a dynamite job for that. And yeah, it was one that myself and Dylan and Patty were coaches of the Brampton junior team at that time. And we had him for, a handful of games, but, also growing up, him playing in Orangeville, me coaching Brampton all those years in the minor side of things, he was always a force that just sort of took Orangeville to a different level. And again, we hoped he'd be able to do that here for us. And so far, so good.
Awesome. Those are all my questions. Thanks, Hazer.
No problem. Thanks.
It was just a couple questions. And first, Andrew hit on a lot of those guys already, but you've now had Curtis Knight back for 2 games. What have you seen from him so far?
You know what? He's just again, it's tough coming in game one. Um, after, our group has been playing, whatever, again, 8 games, 3 months of lacrosse where he hasn't been. So he was a little off, we thought that first game, but again, he stepped in and he was back to his normal self where he was active in the offensive end, had the ball, making smart plays for us. And I think he ended up with 2-6, if I'm not mistaken, or 2-4, something like that. So again, he made the most of his opportunities, but again, it's just that responsibility side of things that he does that, that's the second nature type deal. And he was doing that for us to allow, us to get on the floor a little bit quicker and, have that ability to play on 5-on-5 on the back end side of things. So yeah, he's coming into form. And again, just, another game, a little more comfort for the entire group, which was really good to see.
Looking forward to this weekend. What kind of, aside from the matchup challenges, how challenging is it that you have Albany on Saturday, but they play Vancouver Friday night? So you really got to, how do you prepare when they've got a game the night before you play them?
Like most games, we're really kind of worried what we got to do, and again, especially lately, and at the standings aside, we've been really trying to focus on making sure that we come out and execute to our game. But saying that, you know what, it, yeah, it might be different, but at the end of the day, they're playing really well. Dougie is it's playing exceptional in that back end, and their offense is another unselfish group that's just it's fun to watch. As a spectator, seeing the way they move that ball and the way they play. So we're gonna have our hands full, but I do like our chances if we're have the coming with the same mindset that we did on Sunday. I like the way we match up with anybody in this league, and at the end of 60, let's see where we're going to be.
And certainly, we really haven't spent a lot of time this year talking about Joe Post, but I mean, one of the biggest differences in this team is how successful he has been, not only at the faceoff circle, but getting those loose balls and getting the offense started. You talk about how important Joe has been this year and really his progression from last season to this season.
It's tremendous. Like I say, having that ability to have the ball 60% of the times or whatever Joe's at, or I'm not sure the exact number. It's in around there, but having that ability just allows our D to take an extra breath and get an extra shift off, and again allows our offense to kind of continue on a roll. And as far as him as a player, he's getting comfortable. Guys are really comfortable around him. And he's not just a face-off guy for us now. He's an actual player that we like to say we lean on for face-offs. Yeah, 100%. But at the same time, we also need a guy that's going to go back there and play a shift of D here and there for us. And his ability to do that now, again, has just sort of extended the breadth and the legs of the other guys where we're not relying on 7, 8 guys to go. Now we can rely on the 10.
And the last question for me, I mean, Greg Harnett, again, just like Curtis, he's 2 games into his Nighthawks career. What have you seen from him so far? And the second part, how impressive has it been? Because he had 4 years off for various reasons from the game, and was able to come back, and not only come back but come back at a high level.
Yeah, no, and again, he's been here since the day of training camp, and again, he didn't know what he was going to be able to bring, and we didn't know exactly what he was going to be able to bring. So, and again, a couple injuries along the way is kind of, we expected and hoped to have him in the lineup a little sooner. But as far as that's concerned, he's been, like I say, he's been good. He's steady. He's doesn't get outside his game. He understands. Well, number one, he's played. He has that experience, so he understands the role and what he has to do as an individual. And he's meshing well with the group that we have on the floor with him. Like, he's a stay-at-home guy. Communicates really well for the other guys around him. He is physical. And again, if he can stay within his boundaries type deal, he for 2 games he's been really good.
Thanks, Coach.
No problem. Thanks.
Adam or Ripper, do you guys have anything?
I've got a few, if that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Perfect. Yeah, so obviously, Coach, we talked about Thomas McConvey and the need for secondary scoring and how that's going to be beneficial going forward for you guys. Obviously, Thomas did what he did last week, but there were a bunch of other guys who got on the board. So after that big offensive explosion, was there a message to maybe those secondary and third scorers that you said, hey, we got to keep this ball rolling to give us more options on the offense?
Yeah, you know what? I think the message has always been there for those guys. Again, we just can't count on Fieldsy and Smitty to carry the load for us. And again, I think it's a benefit that we have a night like that. Just adds proof to the messaging that we've had all year long, that when we do have the ability to swing the ball and we do find that secondary guy, and when they do make the most of it, like, we're good. Like, Lomas had 2 goals, and again, that's good for him. He's been a little bit snake bitten for the time he's been in. Two by Kyle as well, 2 by Niter as well. So again, everybody contributed, and then if we have the ability to continue to move the ball, it makes it hard for teams to focus on just Fieldsy and just Smitty. And again, so it just sort of, as I said, it adds to the messaging that we've had from the get-go. Let's continue to swing. Let's touch the corners, get through the middle, and just create havoc and create some chaos in the offensive end. And when it happens and we go off, then we can say, hey, we told you. So let's do it again.
And so when it comes to Hutchcraft, we've talked about him a lot this season. Obviously, the fourth quarter wasn't necessarily ideal for him, but in the first and third quarters in particular, he was very impressive. And that allowed him a bit of a cushion in that fourth. But what can you say about his ability, despite the struggle in the fourth, that he stuck it out, first of all, but then set himself up to be in a position where he didn't have to have so much pressure on him?
Yeah, no, exactly right. He was focused, he's dialed in, and again, he's given us an opportunity, every game he's been on the floor here for us, and that's all we can ask for at the end of the day. And as you said, he doesn't, like, he's learning. And again, this is the first time he's been in a bit of a pressure situation, having that starter role on him. And our expectations and everybody's in this league is that when we step on the floor, we want to win. Right. So we're struggling, it's hard at points, but again, like the rest of this group and Hutchie there, like, we believe in him, and it was really good to see that he was able to pull through there for us. And again, yeah, fourth quarter aside, but we did have that cushion. And again, and even in the fourth quarter, he made a few remarkable saves that just sort of kept them at bay and didn't allow them to get any closer. So at the end of the day, if we got to score 19 to win a game, then let's get 19. And again, we do trust him. If we're only going to score 11, 12 maybe that night, we do have the trust in him that he's going to, stop that one to hopefully keep it going. And, then that's hopefully what that last game on Sunday was. It's sort of a kickoff, and, we got that good feeling, that good vibe. Let's, like I say, see if we can build off that.
And so you talked about earlier the need for spreading the offense and how that's beneficial. It's always important also when you have guys stepping up on defense and in transition. you had a guy in Taylor Jensen who had a career game last game. I know the offensive shined through, but career high 2 assists, career high 11 loose balls, career high 3 block shots. Obviously, that's what you want to see, and it helps complement Matt Gilray there in transition.
100%. And that's, that's kind of one thing that we've said to him, that, he's getting comfortable in the back end and he's been really focusing it back there and playing a steady shift to D. But, there was opportunities in previous games that, he kind of didn't go full out in the transition side of things, and even a couple loose balls in through there. So, at one point in Sunday, just kind of reminded him like he's going to have to grind. He's got to go 100 all night long. And I think it just sort of kicked in, and yeah, he was really good in the transition side. Again, that's again another young kid that's getting, every game is a new experience for him. Especially in the box side of things. He hasn't played much box in the last few years either, being down in Rochester, right, at school. So it just, getting that comfort level back and that confidence. And yeah, when we have him going, we got Maddie going, we got Reeser kind of going, pushing in the front end as well. And again, Brad as well. Like we're comfortable in our transition game, and we have that ability to put guys on their heels a little bit, that they have to worry about us playing out from the back end out. So it was a good night to see, and again, the next step for him is this weekend he's got to do it again. So we'll remind him of that.
And then just finally, Coach, and thank you so much for the time. You've faced Doug Jamieson a lot, whether it's in the summer when you're on Peterborough and he's been with Six Nations, or obviously when he's been in the National Lacrosse League. Going up against him, especially with the year that he's having now, how much does it help you, the experience that you've had against him at every level?
It's nice because again, we can kind of have that, that mindset, okay, that we've had some success on it, but every game is a new challenge, and the group around them are, they're fast, they're aggressive, and they're playing a really good team set of defense that is giving Dougie the ability just to be square and be his big body, and making the stops look really easy. So we got our hands full. Again, we'll highlight what we've had success with, and again, a couple teams have had success with them in this year, but it comes down to execution. And again, if we're not going to buy in and believe what what we need to do, doesn't matter at the end of the day, because he's just way too good to have an average night. And again, so it's going to be tough. He's an elite goalie in this league, and everybody knows it, and he's playing that way this year.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Coach.
No problem. Thanks, man.
Hazer, I'm good, man.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, everybody.